Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, the good news is I said things like, please email me if you have questions, and you guys did. So I am so excited and happy to be recording this because enough of you asked questions that I wanted to actually make this video answering some of those questions about the practice so that it was available for you guys to watch and use and follow up on. So, ladies and gentlemen, the first question that I received from you guys was about question 3. So, question 3, I did not realize during our live sessions actually had a mistake in it, and it wasn't a mistake in the options or the problems, it was a mistake in Canvas. So, ladies and gentlemen, it turned out that none of these were correct because Canvas had a bug. So I fixed it. I regraded it for those of you guys who made previous submissions. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you selected this one before, sorry, not that one. I know how to read. If you've selected this one before, that will be now marked correct because that is the correct option. Oh my goodness, no, that's not it either. It shuffled them up on me. My goodness. So, third try is a charm. This one is now the correct answer. Boy Scouts honor. So JM over MK and MK over ML. This is the correct answer. You'll be able to go back, take a look at it. That will get you all the points. So, ladies and gentlemen, why is this the correct answer? For the same reasons we talked about during the live session and that you saw in the instructional videos. JM matches up with MK. JM matches up with MK from the small triangle to the medium triangle. And MK matches up to ML from the small triangle to the medium triangle. So, ladies and gentlemen, that being said, let's take a look at question number 5. So, looking at question 5, ladies and gentlemen, we did work through this during our live session, but I was only able to reach the point where I set up the problem and I wasn't actually able to solve the algebra. So, I want to be able to just walk you guys through the step after drawing all 3 of our triangles of just filling in the sides. And we can do that without labeling the shape. And the way we're able to do that is by identifying our long leg, our short leg, and our hypotenuse. So looking at the big purple triangle first, we know that's the 90-degree angle. And the reason we know that's the 90-degree angle, even though it's not marked, the reason why we know it's the 90-degree angle is because it is a right triangle and it's opposite from our hypotenuse. And our hypotenuse, 13 here, well, we can label that. 13 there is our hypotenuse with our 90 degree. The other reason why we know that this is indeed the 90-degree angle is because this is our altitude, hitting the hypotenuse at 90 degrees. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we have our blue triangle. So our blue triangle, of course, has its 90 degrees, but where is that 90 degrees? Bam, right there. And so what we know is that the shorter leg is X. And ladies and gentlemen, as you've seen me model, I always put the shorter leg on bottom, generally because that's how a piece of paper works. You know, it's longer up and down and shorter left and right. So I put the shorter leg on bottom. So I just picked that out of convenience, not for any other sort of mathematically genius reason. Then for our blue triangle, based off of our longer leg being 9, I can label that here. So I'm just tracking the shorter leg and the longer leg and labeling the sides. Last, for the green triangle, we have 4 as our shorter leg. Boom. And we have X as our longer leg. And so where we left off then in solving was we had 9 over X and X over 4. So I'll go ahead and write that in this space right over here. 9 over X equal to X over 4. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the algebra to solve this problem. How do we solve for X? Well, what we learned in previous weeks when working with proportions is when you see division, undo it with multiplication. And so I'll do that starting with the 4. Why? Because it's a number, and we can do numbers pretty easily. And if we can simplify the problem, get some things out of the way, it makes understanding the next steps a ton easier. So on the side with the blue x, eliminate the 4's. That just leaves us with the x by itself, which is the blue x. And on the side with the 9, you're multiplying by 4. So 4 times 9 is 36. But the multiplication is only on top. We still have the x on bottom, but we know how to take care of that. Undo division with multiplication. Multiply by x on both sides. The x is on the side with the 36, eliminate, and that just leaves you then with the 36 equal to x times x. And we know what x times x is. It's x squared. And so, there we go. And so now we can take our last step and solve for x by undoing a square. Ladies and gentlemen, the operation that undoes a square is a square root. So we can take the square root on both sides. Shaboom, shaboom. The square and the square root cancel out, just leaving us with the square root of 36, which is 6 equal to x. So, ladies and gentlemen, the good news is we did not need to round to 2 decimal places because our answer was 6. There it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the next problem. Hello and welcome to question 6. So, in question 6, it's a lot like question 5. The difference is we're given different sides. So, same steps. We want to take our 3 triangles, layer them out. Let's see here. What colors do I want to use this time? You know, I'm going to go ahead and use this orange color. I haven't used it often enough. So, let's take that orange color. I'm going to make that the largest triangle here on the outside. Boom. 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 Then I want to go ahead and take the middle triangle, which I'll go ahead and make it green. Boom, boom, and boom. And then we're going to go ahead and take our smallest triangle, and we're going to make that, you know, purple's been a fun color. Let's keep with purple. Boom, boom. Oh, sticky keys. No, thank you. And boom. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to draw all 3 of these out. So I'll go ahead and pause, and I'll see you back in just a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we have our 3 triangles drawn out. Let's go ahead and label them. So in our orange triangle, we have our short side here as y. Now, you may have noticed that the triangle's in a different orientation from problem 5. Not an issue. We'll be able to still look at our triangle piece by piece, identify our shorter leg, longer leg, and hypotenuse. So y is the shorter leg. So I'll go ahead and label that smack dab right here. Boom. And there's our 90 degrees just for good measure. Medium triangle. We actually only know one thing about it. In the medium triangle, we have our longer leg, not the hypotenuse. How can I tell? There's the 90. There's the longest side. So this is the longest leg. And so that 5, longest leg, boom, labeled right there. So last but not least is the smallest triangle, the purple. The smallest triangle has our 90 degree right here, which means y is the hypotenuse. Y is our longest side. And then, since that's our 90, this is our shortest leg. So we have our 2 and our y labeled in our purple triangle. In the green triangle, we have just the 5, and in our orange triangle, we have just the y. So I would tell you right now we don't have enough information to solve this problem, except there is one thing that we haven't included, and that is the fact that we actually do know the hypotenuse of the orange, largest triangle, just not explicitly told to us. The 2 and the 5 makes the whole thing, which means the whole thing is 7. So the hypotenuse of our largest triangle is 7. And now we have the information we need. Now we know that 7 corresponds to y, and y corresponds to 2. So we're able to write out our fractions. 7 corresponds with y. And y corresponds to 2. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we can solve, and the steps to solve look a lot like problem number 5 as well. Let's go ahead and do our multiplication to undo the division. Multiply by 2 on both sides. The 2's cancel out on side with the y, which leave us with 14 over y equal to y. And then multiply by y on both sides. Like with the x's before in problem number 5, we end up with 14 is equal to y squared. So we want to square root both the y and the 14, and our answer for y is whatever the square root of 14 is. Whew. Let's go ahead and pull up some calculators for that. So there's our calculator. Boom. And let's go ahead and take the square root of 14. So if you're using a calculator on your computer like this, that's what the square root function looks like. It includes a 2 because it's undoing a square. And there's other roots besides square roots to undo other exponents. And so 14 square rooted is 3.74, and we only look at the decimal place 1 afterward in order to round. And so 3.741 stays it at a 4. So 3.74 is our answer. Excellent job. Question number 6. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the next question. In question number 7 here, we actually do not have the altitude forming similar right triangles. We actually just have similar right triangles. This top one, and then the whole thing. And they're asking us to solve. And so this one is almost just like, or if not almost just like, is very similar to the one that I modeled in the actual practice and the lessons, or in the actual instruction for this lesson. And so let's go ahead and set up our proportions with identifying what matches. Here's our smaller triangle. Here's our larger triangle. I notice that x is part of the smaller triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my proportion involving that x, right? So I like having the x on top. So I'm going to go ahead and put the x. I'm going to put the x and the 3 on top, and they're going to be over the full length here and the 6. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the full length, I can actually solve it in 2 different ways. So, first way to solve is to use your ratio in the blue like we just talked about, x over 3. And then, setting that up with the purple, that's going to be equal to the full length here, which is going to be x plus 4 as the full length over 6. Now, ladies and gentlemen, from here we can solve. And so, from here, we're able to take care of and get x by itself. How do we do that? Well, first, we want to get rid of our fractions. And so we're going to get rid of our fractions by multiplying them to the other sides. So we're going to multiply by 3 on both sides. Boom, boom. Ladies and gentlemen, when you multiply by the 3, it leaves the x in blue by itself. And on the other side now, we're going to be distributing that 3 into the x plus 4, because that's how we multiply with addition and subtraction in there. The 6 is not being multiplied by 3 because that's on bottom. So we have the 3x plus 12 all over that 6 still. So multiply by 6 on both sides in order to eliminate the division of 6. On the side, with the 3x plus 12, they cancel out. The reason why you're not distributing the 6 is because we're also dividing by 6. That's what cancels them out. On the side with the blue x, now we have 6x equal to 3x plus 12. And so, ladies and gentlemen, from here, We want to get x by itself. Because of the fact that x is on both sides of the equation, that's what tells us that we can combine like terms, not with regular numbers like usual, but with x's. So I want to subtract 3x on both sides because there's an x on the other side. So that gives me 3x equal to 12. And when you divide by 3, your value of x is equal to 4. And ladies and gentlemen, the thing that I said earlier about solving this in multiple ways actually involves paying attention to the pattern of our scale factor. And so the pattern of our scale factor here is about seeing that the 4 is half of this length. How do I know it's half? Because 3 is half of 6. So you may notice that I didn't set up my proportions with the image over the pre-image. It still solved to get me the right answer, but that's because I would set up my matching correctly. The x matches up with the x plus 4, image to pre-image, and the x matches up to 3, being in the same triangle. But if I set this up correctly, thinking about image to pre-image, then the fraction you're writing is the x plus 4 over x equal to 6 over 3. Now, I didn't start with this just because it's not as easy to see, right? It's having an x on top and on bottom, so mathematically it's not as nice. But we can still solve this using our addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division like up here. The steps are going to work out just the same to get to our value of 4. I don't want to focus on that so much as the fact that this is really just a factor of 2. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if x plus 4 over x is going to be equal to 2, what number needs to be here in order for the top to be twice as big? Well, what you're adding by. What does it mean to be twice as big? It means you're repeatedly adding the same number twice. So that's where we're able to confirm that x is 4. Just to work it out algebraically, you multiply by x on both sides. The x's cancel out on the side with the x plus 4. So you end up with x plus 4 equal to 2x. Then you subtract by x on both sides. So your 4 is equal to x. And that's where you have your answer. And so, ladies and gentlemen, either way you choose to work it out, it's fantastic and excellent. In either case, your value of x is equal to 4. Let's take a look at the last problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, question 8 is our last problem here. Question 8 is literally just like questions 5 and 6, with the only difference being it gives us a problem of a story rather than just looking at the problem in the abstract. So we're going to still do the same steps. Highlight our 3 triangles, draw them out, and label. So, ladies and gentlemen, give me 1 second, and we'll see what it looks like. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I have my green triangle, the biggest one, my orange triangle, the middle one, and my teal triangle, the blue one. Now, let's label what we know. We know in our largest triangle, we got all 3 sides. It's actually really convenient. And so, in our largest triangle, we have the hypotenuse, the longest side here on the ground. We know that's the longest because it looks the longest, and it's opposite of our 90 degrees up here. And so that's our 200. We have the longer leg is 160, and the shorter leg is 120. And ladies and gentlemen, just in case you didn't notice, a great way to check your work here is actually to look at the numbers. 200 is the biggest number, 160 is the middle number, 120 is the smallest number. Insta win. So let's do the same thing for our orange triangle. Ladies and gentlemen, our orange triangle only knows the hypotenuse because that's our 90-degree angle. So 160 is the largest side of our medium triangle, 160. That's our hypotenuse. And they're asking us to solve for the altitude, which in our medium triangle is the shorter leg. And so we'll be able to label the altitude here, our shorter leg. I'm going to go ahead and label it h to stay consistent for height, like that. And last but not least, in our smallest triangle, we know the hypotenuse is 120 because it's opposite of our 90. And we're also still trying to solve for h. Now, h in the teal triangle here is the longer leg because this is our shorter leg. And so h is actually going to be over here. And let me try using black for h. It doesn't seem like it's showing up as well as I would like. So there's h. I'll just relabel that there, and I'll relabel that there. Oh, it does wonders. So we have h, h, and h. Ladies and gentlemen, you can solve for h either with the teal triangle or with the orange triangle. But no matter which of these two you pick, you have to match it with our largest triangle, our green triangle. And so, image to pre-image, matching up the sides, no matter how you set up your proportions, you will be solving correctly if they correspond. So I'm going to use the orange triangle just because I can. H matches with the 120, and I'm going to put that on top because I like having my variables on top. Makes it easier to solve in my opinion. And then 160 matches with 200. And I didn't color code that, so let me go ahead and color code that for you guys. So ladies and gentlemen, now we get to solve. How are we solving? Well, we're solving by getting h by itself, and in that case, well, you need to do one step. Multiply by 120 on both sides. So multiply by what we're dividing by, 120. Multiply by 120. 120 is on the side with the h cancel out, and on the other side of our fraction, or on the other side of our proportion, we have 160 times 120 divided by 200. I empower you 100% to engage this and mathematically solve it using the brains, but I'm going to use my calculator because I think it's a great idea. So 160 multiplied by 120 divided by 200 gives us 96. So our value of h, our altitude, is 96. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the conclusion for the questions that you guys asked me to work out. So I'm glad to work those out. I'm glad to model them. If that still leaves you with some questions, please follow up and email me. I am more than glad to help. Thank you and have a great evening.